Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Lam, sitting in for Liang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. As midterm election day approaches, so do the political endorsements. President Biden will be making another trip to Southern California in support of a toss-up election. With everyone getting ready to cast their ballots, they'd also expect their vote to be properly counted. We'll hear from one former poll worker on how to ensure their vote was correctly tabulated. And a top education official received the largest financial award in the field. The catch is that it comes from China. We'll hear the significance of that. The president will be making another trip to Southern California soon. This time is to show support for an incumbent House representative.
President Joe Biden plans to visit San Diego and campaign for incumbent Democratic Representative Mike Levin on Thursday for the 49th Congressional District race. Biden is scheduled to attend a campaign event with Levin on Thursday and to speak at an unspecified event on Friday. Levin has represented the district stretching from North San Diego to South Orange counties since 2018. Brian Marriott, Republican and former San Juan Capistrano mayor, lost to Levine in 2020 by about 6%. Marriott and the GOP hope to turn the tide this midterm. GOP spokeswoman Holly Balch said in a statement, quote, "Republicans gladly welcome Joe Biden to San Diego for his campaign stop with Mike Levin, which will be a boon for the GOP and remind voters to choose Brian Marriott on November 8th. Marriott tied Levine to Biden and criticized the Democratic Party's spending of taxpayers' money. Levin attacked his opponent as a MAGA Republican and his conservative take on abortion. If Levin seemed to have a disadvantage in the race a few months ago, it is disappearing. Politico recently deemed a toss-up between Levin and Marriott. It is one of several California toss-ups this midterm as Republicans try to win back the House.
Voters in many states have received their ballots for the midterm elections, and they expect their vote to count. One former poll observer told me how to make sure each is properly tabulated. With the November 8th midterm elections coming up, one Californian has been busy trying to inform her community on effective vote casting.
It doesn't matter who you vote for. The important thing is make sure that your votes actually count.
During pandemic lockdowns, California began sending ballots to every registered voter. Governor Gavin Newsom made the change permanent last year by signing mail-in voting into law. While there is added convenience to this, former poll watcher Lan Nguyen tells NTD she's a strong advocate for flat paper ballots and in-person voting.
The most common voting person mistake is when people go in. Most people go in to vote because they want to make sure their vote counts. Well, guess what? When they go in, okay, well, here's your ballot. And when you're done, don't forget to put it in the envelope, sign it, and put it in the drop box. Well, guess what? You didn't vote in person. You just voted by mail.
Nguyen lives in Santa Clara County, and after mistakenly casting a ballot last year at a fake drop box, she now gives local presentations based on research and experience. She says voters should personally scan in their ballot to the tabulation machines so they can directly review their own vote selections on the LCD screen.
I have not seen one person during the primary when I was observing that literally checked that screen.
Paper ballot instructions say to completely fill inside the bubble to make a selection.
Completely fill in the oval. I can't even tell you how many times people don't do that. They just do check marks. Or they'll do something really weird. I was like, God, why did they do that? They only fill in half the circle. The machine couldn't figure out which one was the one, so it says it's not counted. Now, let's look at another one right here. It's so obvious that's what the person picked. But the machine says it's a blank contest.
The Vietnamese American says she has voted every single year since the age of 18. She currently makes her flyers in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese.
I consider this kind of like a hobby because freedom is near and dear to my heart. If you don't have freedom, well, what's the point of living?
Voters can vote from now until November 8th. After voting, Californians have the option of tracking their ballot status at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov. David Lam, NTD News, California. Not long ago, the head of California's Board of Education received a large financial prize. That money came from the co-founder of one of the largest tech companies in China.
Linda Darling Hammond, the president of the California Board of Education, was awarded the largest education accolade in the world. The award, known as the Yidan Prize, awards the winner $3.9 million. The founder of that prize is also the co-founder of a company with strong connections to the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP.
Fundamentally, the lesson we should take away from large gifts like this is that you should trust in the CCP at your own peril.
John Metz is the founder of the Athenae Institute, which combats CCP influence on American campuses.
Fighting the CCP on campus really is like playing whack-a-mole. They keep coming back to try to buy influence over and over again.
The prize was established by Chen Yidan, who is the co-founder of Chinese tech conglomerate Tencent. Tencent offers communication and gaming services, but also acts as a tool for the CCP to monitor online public speech and suppress dissidents in China.
And that's why this gift is so disturbing to us, because it signifies that the CCP recognizes that in order to continue to influence the way young people think about it and think about its role in the world, it needs to sort of build this financial leverage.
Yidan Prize awardees are allowed to keep half the money and donate the other half to support education projects. Darling Hammond, a professor emeritus at Stanford University and the founder of the Learning Policy Institute, received the Education Research Prize.
While their activities may seem benign, the investments may seem lucrative, the prizes may seem generous, we should really make no mistake here. The CCP, the United Front, and really any institutions connected to them are no friends to the United States or to Americans.
Darling Hammond said she will use her funds to expand a new initiative for the Institute. The initiative, called the Educator Preparatory Lab, seeks to better prepare educators through research, networking, and collaboration with other programs.
Between 2018 and 2021, U.S. universities received over $1 billion in gifts from entities in mainland China or in Hong Kong. Those gifts create a valuable source of financial leverage for the CCP, which gives it influence over university curricula, which gives it influence over the way students and student groups are treated, and which fundamentally gives it control over institutions that play a key role in shaping the next generation of leaders.
Metz said the best way to combat this influence is to join organizations similar to his own and call for financial divestment from the CCP.
Most fundamentally, to divest their universities and their other academic institutions from the Chinese government and from the CCP. We should not be giving the CCP leverage over what we teach and how we teach it. And fundamentally, that means removing the financial leverage that allows it to control what we teach.
NTD reached out to Linda Darling Hammond for comment. Daniel Hall, NTD News, California.
California's budget 2023 shows a 35% increase for spending on health departments compared to last year's budget. And recently, the governor announced that the majority of the state's covered California insurance customers may get coverage for $10 a month. On Wednesday, Governor Gavin Newsom announced that 2/3 of the 1.7 million covered California consumers are eligible for comprehensive health coverage for as little as $10 per month. Covered California is the state's health insurance marketplace. Californians can apply for insurance for the 2023's open enrollment period.
And get this, an estimated 1 million Californians currently that are uninsured are eligible today for low or no cost coverage through Covered California. So find out if you're eligible for financial assistance by visiting coveredca.com to learn more.
Enrollees can also apply to Medi-Cal, which serves low-income individuals. Newsom's office said 9 out of 10 Californians who sign up receive financial assistance. According to the Legislative Analyst's Office, California's 2022-2023 budget shows a notable increase in health program spending, setting aside $42.6 billion of the general fund for health departments, a 35% increase over the previous year's revised plan. The governor governor recently vetoed a number of other spending bills, adding that the budget will require more limited spending policy. As for health insurance, Newsom said, "We won't stop until every Californian, regardless of income or immigration status, has the health insurance they need and deserve." More information can be found at coveredca.com. David Lamb, NTD News, California. We're heading to a short break, but here's a look at what's coming up next. California kicked off November with a rainy start. More is expected soon, bringing some relief to the drought-stricken state. CalFire has filed a lawsuit against two major companies. That's after they allegedly allowed faulty equipment to lead to a large wildfire. And speaking of wildfire, one family moved all the way across the country after they lost their house in a fire several years ago. We'll hear what they have to say about the relocation. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm David Lamb, sitting in for Liang Zhang. This month is off to a cold and rainy start for California, bringing much needed water to the state. Weather forecasts predict more rain over the weekend. The rain is finally here, and November is looking to be a wet month. Here's what the National Weather Service has to say. The National Weather Service reported scattered showers and thunderstorms forming across Northern California this afternoon, with showers and gusts in Southern California. In the last 24 hours, the Sierra Mountain areas saw anywhere from a couple of inches to a foot of snow. Today, widespread rain and showers mainly hit the Sierra Nevada mountains. More rain to come for the weekend. Temperatures are expected to drop 10 to 25 degrees below normal on Thursday. Chilly temperatures can be expected until early next week. Tejon Pass in Southern California has a possibility of snow Thursday morning. According to the National Drought Monitor, much of the Golden State is still in a severe or extreme drought condition. CalFire filed a lawsuit against two companies for allegedly causing the Silverado fire in Orange County 2 years ago. Two firefighters were seriously injured during the fire. The California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, or CalFire, filed a lawsuit on October 26th against Southern California Edison and T-Mobile. CalFire alleges the companies caused the Silverado fire in Orange County 2 years ago. The fire burned over 12,000 acres and damaged 16 structures. Two Orange County Fire Authority firefighters suffered critical burn injuries during the fire. CalFire alleges the companies failed to properly design, construct, install, operate, control, inspect, and maintain electrical and communications equipment. That allegedly resulted in multiple electrical arcs and sparks that melted portions of power lines and telecommunications equipment. With the lawsuit, CalFire is attempting to recover firefighting and investigation costs, as well as legal fees for its agency, as well as OCFA. Southern California Edison spokesman David Eisenhower told the Epoch Times the company is fully cooperating with fire officials. Families are suing Southern California Edison for its alleged responsibility in the Fairview fire last month. The incident happened during a heat wave, displacing thousands of families and destroying acres of land. On September 5th, a fire broke out in Riverside County that burned over 28,000 acres, killing two and forcing thousands to evacuate. Firefighters fought the blaze for 44 days. On October 14th, multiple homeowners, business owners, renters, and other individuals filed a lawsuit in the Los Angeles Superior Court against Southern California Edison, or SCE. This complaint came shortly after a similar lawsuit was filed against SCE by another group of Fairview fire victims back in September. The complaint alleges that, quote, Edison negligently, recklessly, and willfully failed to maintain an appropriate clearance area between the electrical equipment in its utility infrastructure and surrounding vegetation. The suit also claims that it was not a, quote, act of God that sparked the fire. It instead alleges high voltage transmission and distribution lines and other SCE electrical equipment that ignited surrounding vegetation. On October 2nd, SCE wrote a letter to the Public Utilities Commission indicating that CalFire investigators had identified 2 areas of interest regarding the possible ignition of the fire, but that the investigation was still ongoing. In a statement to the Epoch Times, SCE spokesperson David Eisenhower said, quote, "Our thoughts remain with the families and friends of the people who lost their lives and were injured during the Fairview fire, and we've been working with CalFire throughout the review of the fire." 8-year-old Sam Baker became the youngest to climb El Capitan in Yosemite last week. He and his dad took 4 days to reach the summit. After the duo arrived at the peak, they celebrated with a disco party. And a family who lived in Northern California a few years ago moved across the U.S. to escape wildfire. They wanted to live somewhere that did not constantly seem under constant threat from natural disasters. Here's how they're doing now.
Weeks after surviving one of the deadliest and most destructive wildfires in California history, the Holden family just wanted a new home. The family of 7 couldn't find anything nearby to replace their house that was reduced to ashes in Paradise back in 2018.
We came to Vermont after we lost our home, lost our entire town and surrounding towns to the Camp Fire. And we were looking for a place that we would never have to go through something like that again. And Vermont is where we landed.
They also wanted to ensure that they could get jobs and afford buying lots of land for farming.
What thing do you do first? Do you buy a home? Do you find a job? Do you find a community? The answer for us was you had to find a job because, yeah, we had some money to move across the country and to buy a house, but you don't want to burn all that money up living without a job. And what if you move to a place where jobs are not plentiful?
I think our biggest fear in all of this was being homeless again. We never wanted to lose our home again. So we didn't want to find the most perfect farm and buy it, but then realize, oh, we can't afford it because there's no jobs within 3 hours. So the job kind of became our thing to pick the place.
To anchor us.
Yeah.
Their search led them to Proctor, Vermont, a picturesque town near one of the best ski areas in eastern United States. James Holden found an engineering job. The family bought a 192-year-old Valley Acres farm with 237 acres of forest and meadows. James says despite the trauma they've experienced, they appreciate how lucky they are.
We didn't have to cross any borders. We didn't have to, illegally move into a country because there's better work opportunities. Nobody was shooting at us when we were fleeing the fire.
The Holden family is happy with their decision to resettle.
I'm very happy that we left. It was hard. It's the hardest thing that we've ever done. We felt that loss for a long time, being away from home, being away from our community and friends. But fire season is not just a season anymore. It's year-round. The drought is constant. I see our friends and the things that they're going through, still trying to rebuild their homes. I wouldn't be able to deal with that worry every year of fire season.
Their children enjoy their farmhouse lifestyle with a very vocal rooster, helping to harvest flowers for sale at their farm stall, biking and hiking on their property, or helping in their garden.
Now here's NTD's Thomas Christian for your sports roundup.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup.
The pressure is on for Captain America Christian Pulisic to put on a superhero performance in his World Cup debut in Qatar, building on years of sky-high expectations from his U.S. fans. He was the youngest man to feature in a U.S. World Cup qualifier 6 years ago at age 17, before the U.S. team failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup. But the Chelsea forward has emerged as the most recognizable face in a U.S. squad eager for redemption. U.S. coach Greg Berhalter will unveil his final squad squad on November 9th, with Pulisic certain to be one of the first names on the list, having already scored 21 goals in 52 international appearances to stand 6th on the country's all-time scoring list. US fans will be praying that he does not pick up an injury ahead of the World Cup, with his regular club Chelsea involved in so many matches. He was frustratingly used as a second-half substitute through the London club's first 5 Premier League games this season, with little time on the pitch, prompting concern that a lack of match practice could affect his performances in Qatar. Chelsea's appointment of new manager Graham Potter to replace Thomas Tuchel in September appeared to help Pulisic's situation, as he started and scored in their 3-0 win over Wolverhampton last month. But he sat on the bench against Aston Villa just days later to the bewilderment of fans. He has made 11 Premier League appearances overall this season. In the US, where the NFL, MLB, NHL, and NBA dominate advertising dollars and television viewers, Pulisic has become US soccer's best hope for a true global superstar in the men's game. Matched up with England in the group stage, Pulisic will be bumping elbows with some of his regular Premier League rivals as he sets off to lead the US men's national team through their first World Cup in 8 years. Miami's Jimmy Butler put up 23 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds, leading the Heat to a win over visiting Golden State. Stephen Curry produced his 10th career triple-double with 23 points, 13 assists, and 13 rebounds for the Warriors, who took their 3rd straight loss. Miami was also led by reserve guard Max Strus, who scored a game-high 24 points as the Heat snapped a 2-game losing streak. The Warriors fell to 0-4 on the road this season, in part because they couldn't stop Butler in a couple of crucial situations. Butler made the go-ahead 3-point play with 1 minute and 48 seconds left for a 112-109 lead. Butler also made a mid-range jumper with 9.5 seconds left, giving Miami a 114-109 edge. Heat 116, Warriors 109. The Stars' Rue Pines had 2 goals and an assist for Dallas, helping them defeat the visiting LA Kings. Kevin Fiala and Arthur Calif scored, and Cal Peterson made 35 saves for the Kings, who were coming off a 5-1 road win over the St. Louis Blues on Monday. Stars 5, Kings 2. Adam Enrique scored 2 goals for visiting Anaheim in a shootout win at San Jose. Trevor Zegras and Troy Terry scored in the shootout for the Ducks, while Logan Couture scored the Sharks' only shootout goal. Frank Vetrano, Ryan Strome, and Max Comtois also scored, and Anthony Stolarz made 39 saves for the Ducks, who have won 2 in a row for the first time this season, but remain the only NHL team without a win in regulation. Erik Karlsson had 3 goals and an assist, Timo Meier scored 2 goals, and Kaapo Kähkönen made 39 saves for San Jose, which is 1-2-1 in the past 4 games. Ducks 6, Sharks 5.
And that's all for sports.
And that's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like for you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm David Lam, sitting in for Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.